5-Star Preps Walkthrough. Powered by Coker Rental Company. The Walkthrough delivers important pregame news, breakdowns of the week's biggest matchups, and more from the teams and players you spend your fall Friday nights cheering for.
Are you ready for some football?
We're ready for some football, baby.
Now, join us as our host, Jesse Smithey, and the rest of the 5-Star Preps team deliver the most comprehensive high school football coverage in East Tennessee. It's time for the 5-Star Preps Walkthrough.
Welcome in, everybody, to the Walkthrough. We are in the postseason, in the playoff time. 230 teams around the state will kick off their postseason journeys either tonight or next week in TSSAA brackets. I am your host for the Walkthrough tonight, Jesse Smithey, owner of 5-Star Preps. We got a lot to get to tonight. We have interviews, we have stat leaders, we have predictions, we have players to watch, everything that you can need and more to prepare yourself for the first round of the high school football playoffs, the best time of the fall. Let's go ahead and get into it. Before we get super deep into football, shout out to the Bearden girls soccer team, state champions for the third year in a row. Number 3 in the country after winning a national title last year. Another undefeated season. That makes 3 in a row for Ryan Radcliffe's Lady Bulldogs. They have not lost since the 2020 state semifinals. Just want to give a shout out to the Bearden Lady Bulldogs, Class AAA state champions for the third year in a row. Big dynasty building. Big dynasty building there out at Bearden High School. And Thursday, the TSSAA unveiled its Mr. Football semifinalists. There's a number of players in 9 classifications. We have 5 semifinalists in 9 classifications up for Mr. Football awards. Finalists will be unveiled by the Tennessee Titans, Coach Mike Vrabel and Mike Heath, the voice of the Titans. That will happen on Tuesday, November 21st, 8 p.m. Central. That'll be done online. You'll check out the Tennessee Titans website. It'll be a live feed on there, and then we'll release those on our website later on. But locally, again, 5 semifinalists in 9 classifications, and then 5 players for Mr. Football kickers. We had no finalists or semifinalists in 1A or 2A. In 3A, Alcoa wide receiver Brandon Winton and Gatlinburg Pittman wide receiver / linebacker Whitman Whaley are semifinalists in 3A. In 4A, Nick Moog, running back, Anderson County, made the list of 5 in Class 4A. Big season out of Nick Moog once returning from injury. Class 5A, Stephen Souls, defensive lineman, Kentucky commitment from Powell High School, makes the final 5 semifinalist list in Class 5A. Nobody in 6A, kind of weird there. Nobody in Division II Class Single A. 2 people from Webb School of Knoxville in the mix in Division II Class AA. Marquise Barrett, wide receiver / defensive back, 12 touchdowns, receiving 9 interceptions this year. He's a Vanderbilt commitment. He makes the list. And then Cornell commitment, Cooper Cameron, linebacker from Webb School of Knoxville. He is a semifinalist in Class AA in Division II. Nobody in the Class AAA ranks in Division II. Kind of thought Braylon Harmon should be in there, but the voting didn't go that way. Nevertheless, he will be an all-state guy. Might be our player of the year. We'll see. Kicker of the year, we have a guy. We have Owen Taylor from Halls High School, and we'll talk about him a little bit more in the program as it goes on. But congratulations to all of our area finalists. You can find those, the entire list, the complete list, on 5starpreps.com. Check out, see if maybe somebody from your old hometown or where you used to live, wherever you've been in Tennessee, there's probably somebody from there or around that area nominated for Mr. Football. As always, the walkthrough presented by Coker Rentals. Make sure you're checking them out up in North Knoxville, rentcoker.com. Excavators, loaders, mulchers, scissor lifts, pressure washers, dumpsters, everything you guys out there in construction need to fulfill your project and have it go smoothly. So all you contractors out there, construction companies, rentcoker.com is your place, and I appreciate them joining the show as our sponsor this year. As I mentioned, 230 teams from around the state have made the postseason, and we decided to dig a little deeper than that and see kind of just what the data looks like for all the brackets in the grand landscape of TSSAA football playoffs this year, and kind of see like how many. You hear the critique every year, how many losing teams there are. So we dug deep. We went through every bracket. We made a tally. So 18 teams out of 230 were undefeated. That's 7.8% of the field this year is undefeated. Class 4A and Class 6A brackets have the most unbeaten teams in them. Each have 4. And on the flip side of that coin, 53 teams out of 230. Look, you're probably doing quick math in your head. What the percentage of that is? 23%. 23% of the teams in the high school football playoffs this year have losing records. Think about that. 1 out of every 4 teams in the playoffs in Tennessee has a losing record. Might be a little time for some reform. Look, I've been in some of those meetings at TSSAA, and the executive director from the TSSAA comes in and he goes before the Board of Control and he says, we at the TSSAA are recommending to you, the Board of Control, who are, by the way, are not TSSAA employees. They are elected to the Board of Control. So the executive director of the TSSAA, at that time, Bernard Childress, comes in to the Board of Control and says, we at the TSSAA recommend going back to 5 classifications in public school and 2 in Division II. So reducing it effectively from 9 total down to 7. What that would do, it would reduce the amount of championships, obviously, and therefore you lose some revenue, but you improve your product. There's fewer losing teams. The level of competition is better. First round games are better. It's not going to totally eradicate teams with losing records from the playoff picture, but 1 out of every 4 teams should not have a losing record in the state football playoffs in Tennessee, in the most popular sport in the state. It's just watered down. What are we doing? And it's not an anomaly. It's like every year like this. So I'm going to get off my soapbox, but I just want to present that data that 53 out of 230 teams in the playoffs this year, 23% have losing records. There's an 0-10 team in the playoffs this year in Class 2A. Classes 1A and 2A lead the state, with each bracket having 9 teams with losing records in their 32-team brackets. I think 2A actually has 31 teams this year. There was a team that I guess maybe got banned or whatever. Some team has a bye down in West Tennessee. So I think an 0-10 team got in because of that. But imagine having a 32-team bracket for your state championship and 9 of them have losing records. That's where we're at. So hopefully the powers that be in the next handful of years will again take this into account, make an appropriate action at some point. I know it's going to cost them money, and I know it's hard to go backwards, but 23% of our football playoffs should not have losing record teams. All right, that's it. One of the teams that does not have a losing record is Halls High School. They were 2-8 a year ago, made the playoffs, and now they're 8-2, going into the playoffs with a lot of belief, a lot of know-how, a lot of momentum. We talked with Brent Hughes, the head football coach at Halls High School, about this 180 that the program has done. They have a big game this Friday night against Morristown West, a really difficult game. All that and more in this interview right now with Brent Hughes. To last year, you guys were 2-8 in the regular season, made a playoff appearance, but when you looked at your schedule, there were so many competitive games that Halls was in. And I wondered back then, or maybe when you look back then, could you tell at that point that maybe 2023 could be as special as it has been?
I don't know. I don't know if I could tell that. I think at that time, you're as a coach, you're putting so much pressure on yourself. What am I doing wrong? Why are we falling so short? I feel like in so many ways we were good enough to win, but like we just didn't do the little things right. We had some talented players, but it didn't click at the time. And I think this year, what I've seen is I got a senior group that it's clicked for them. And our big message all off season was we just wanted to be the best team we could be. This was a tough off season, probably one of the toughest I've ever been a part of, as far as so many things that happen beyond our control. Some situations that that are tough to overcome, but that's like life. And I think what it ended up doing, it brought us together a little bit as the coaches and players, and as a whole overall team. And I just feel like at the end of the day that we've been able to finish in a lot of areas that we were just not able to finish last year.
See it transpire over the course of the year and really kind of be consistent over the course of the year. How much of a point of pride is that for you as a coach, for the program to really contend all season long? That's hard to do.
Well, yeah, but I think it's any coach will tell you they want to have an identity, right? And sometimes when you're playing young kids, it takes a while to establish that identity. We knew who we wanted to be as soon as the season started. We knew we have senior offensive linemen, senior defensive linemen. We felt like we could have a really good defense if we could stay healthy. We knew we wanted to run the football early and often in the beginning of the season to allow our young, skilled kids to kind of continue to groom and grow. We have a great young quarterback in Amari Lefko, but we really wanted to use our senior running back, Cameron Bates, and our junior running back, Marcus Moore, early on in the season to allow these guys to kind of come within themselves because they were still young. And so we had an identity, and we've not changed who we are all year. And we've just, continued to grow each and every week. And that's what you want as a coach.
And you talk about growth. Have you seen your team grow more from the wins or losses this year?
I think it's been from it all. And the two games that we lost, the Powell and West, who are really two talented football teams and really well coached. There's been that one play, right? We had the special player in Souls. He has a pick right before halftime, and we have an opportunity to tie or go up, and it becomes a 10-point swing. And then we're playing West, and it's 9-10, and we're getting ready to kick a field goal to go ahead, and they block it and return it for a touchdown. So it's been that one play, right? That's kind of it hadn't stopped who we are and hadn't stopped our effort, but it's been that one play. It's been hard for us to overcome in those games that we lost. And so I think what we've tried to learn is to every play, every moment, every situation, special teams, offense, defense, that we have to be totally in tune, and that just playing hard enough isn't good enough, that we have to be our best every play. And I think so. I think in those two losses, that's what we've really learned the most and try to take with us into this first round matchup.
The Hollis community is a pretty special place, especially, it doesn't matter if it's basketball, golf, baseball, softball, what have you, there's always support there. But when the football team is really going, like, what's it been like? You grew up there, you graduated there. What's this all been like for you so far here in year two?
It's just special because you got, a lot of people tell you they're proud of you, and a lot tell you, you're doing a good job, and we're glad we got a Halls guy. All those things that make you feel good. But I think the most important thing is you see it's a message to our little kids, right? That hey, this place is special, and that you can stay here and be a part of something special. And that I wanted it. When I was a little kid, I always wanted to wear the Halls helmet, and I wanted to instill that feeling back into our kids, our youth kids. And it's a matter of pride, obviously, when you're from here. And so that's been the most fulfilling thing. But understanding that hey, this is something that you can't do by yourself. You need community support. You need people that care about your kids. I couldn't tell you how much there's so many people outside of school and outside of football that take care of our kids, businesses, just people that donate and to give to our kids, to allow them to be able to have the success and the opportunities that not a lot of people get. And so for that, we're just very fortunate and very proud.
Hey, just two more things. Number one, y'all's kicker punter was nominated or named a Mr. Football kicker semifinalist on Thursday. Just tell us about him and how much of a weapon he really is for you guys.
Owen Taylor, he is so special. This is really, he's only been doing this for a year and a half. He's played soccer his whole life, and we needed a field goal kicker about a year and a half ago, and I convinced Coach Cummings in his last season to let this kid come out in the middle of the year. I'm like, hey man, we need a kicker after this year, so we got to let him come, and I'm glad he said yes, because since then, Owen's been really great for us. And when, the thing I tell college is, man, this kid has really only been doing it for a year and a half. Imagine if he gets to you and gets to your program and gets to, all the things that you offer, how special this kid can really be. And that's what he is. He is special. He's got great work ethic, great determination, and he's been a huge weapon for us. I mean, he kicked a 49-yard field goal against West to give us an opportunity to get a little bit of momentum early on in that game. And then he's been just Mr. Consistent all year, and, very thankful to have him, and he could be a huge factor into the game this coming Friday against Morristown West.
Yeah, and that's the last thing I wanted to get to. This game against Morristown West, I know they have y'all's attention. You told our reporter about it last week. Just your thoughts on this game in Morristown West and what Halls has to do to kind of come out on top.
I mean, if anybody that just, some fans, they just look at the record and like, oh, well, they're 5-5. Like, no, that team right there, it don't matter what region they're in. That team right there is a region championship football caliber team. They're 2 or 3 plays away from being the 1 seed, right? And I don't know their coaches personally, but by watching them on film and how they coach, the things that I see from their team, that's a well-coached football team, and they are very talented all around. They don't just have one guy that just sticks out. They have multiple guys that stick out because they play really team-oriented football. I think the biggest challenge is going to be up front. They're big and physical. We've always, tried to this season rely heavily on our offense and defensive line, and that's kind of been our identity and so forth. And so I think the battle is going to be up front. Which team can run the football successfully, stay ahead of the sticks, protect the quarterback, and then on the flip side, what defense can, stop the run, create turnovers, and win field position. I think it's going to be crucial. They got a special quarterback who, honestly, he does even when the play breaks down, it's almost better for him because he's just so creative and he can extend plays with his legs. Really good football player. So it's going to be a great matchup, and we're just looking forward to the challenge and thankful for the opportunity. And it's what high school football is all about.
Thank you to Coach Hughes for taking the time out of a really busy week to talk with us here on the walkthrough presented by Coker Reynolds and discuss his team, the big game that they have coming up against Morristown West, and we'll see if the Red Devils can hop across that first round threshold into round 2 and then see what happens. That first playoff game, always the most difficult to win. All right, 5 players you need to watch in round 1 of the playoffs. Let's start out at Catholic. Catholic thought they were going to be playing in Memphis in round 1. Lipscomb Academy ended up getting banned from the postseason. Now Catholic gets to host the game. You need to go out to Cedar Bluff. If your team's not in it tonight, sit out in the cold and watch Braylon Harmon, and I promise you it'll be worth it. Braylon Harmon, wide receiver, all-purpose athlete from Catholic High School, a Wofford commitment, and you go, hey, why would I go watch a kid going to Wofford? Because they're getting a steal. That's why he belongs at a level probably a little bit higher, but those spots are getting harder and harder to come by because of the transfer portal and all that jazz, the COVID years. Braylon Harmon, get this, regular season, should have been a Mr. Football semifinalist. My opinion, I'm not blasting anybody. I thought he was going to be on there. 758 yards receiving, 15.5 yards a catch, 8 receiving touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns, 2 punt return touchdowns, 4 kickoff return touchdowns. And they're not against slappy competition. You could go to those big boy games to get some of the best teams in Division II AAA and watch Braylon Harmon running up and down the field on kickoff returns, punt returns, receiving, handoffs, whatever. 8 receiving touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns, 2 punt return touchdowns, 4 kickoff return touchdowns. Go see Braylon Harmon. I promise you it'll be worth the price of admission. My next guy on my list, Emmett Newman, linebacker from Jefferson County. They have a huge game against Cleveland, a team that gets a lot in reps, volume snaps on offense. Think about Tennessee football on the high school level. So if they get their offense going, you're going to see Emmett Newman, linebacker from Jefferson County, quite a bit. And let me talk about some of his stats real quick. Let me scroll down to my defensive stat leaders on our website. Emmett Newman, tackles for loss, Jefferson County. Unbelievable year, 9-1 region champions. 26 tackles for loss out of this young man. 10 sacks. 26 tackles for loss and 10 sacks. Emmett Newman, linebacker, you need to go see him. Next up, Trey Wilhite from Lenore City. Look, I wrote on our website about a month ago that he might be the most single important person to a postseason team in the entire state. When he's not healthy, they don't play well. When Lenore City is healthy, they're the number 2 seed behind Oak Ridge coming out of that region, Region 3A. He has 1,300 yards rushing, 17 touchdowns, also plays zone defense, and he's quarterback too. He's thrown 4 or 5 touchdown passes this year, I believe. 103 tackles. Imagine rushing for 1,300 yards and also making 103 tackles. I believe he has 3 interceptions on defense. Just an all-purpose athlete in every sense of the word. So that's Braylon Harmon, Catholic, Emmett Newman, Jefferson County linebacker, Trey Wilhite, all-purpose athlete, 2 more. Gage Ledoux, running back from Maryville. Look, he popped up 2 weeks ago. He'd been hurt all year, the Air Force commitment. Got in that game against Alcoa, got a short yardage touchdown. Last week, he only ran the ball 1 time. So what are they saving him? Is this just kind of a decoy? So let's keep an eye on Gage Ledoux. Maryville goes on the road against Science Hill. Are they going to use him more now that the playoffs are here? Or is it just, hey, we're inside the 5. He's a little bit bigger than Price Davis physically, and then hand off to Gage Ledoux. So let's keep an eye on him, Maryville running back, senior Gage Ledoux. And lastly, Warren Axton, quarterback. And you're going, I've never heard of this kid. All season long, Warren Axton. I don't see him in the stat leaders. I don't see him in your stories. Who is Warren Axton? Warren Axton is a quarterback from Alabama. Played at Enterprise, Alabama. The family moved to Tennessee middle October. Gibbs has had a quarterback all season long. He's had some injury issues of late. And then now Warren Axton, if you go look at his film, he's not bad. He can run the football, which Gibbs loves to do. He can extend defenses vertically, which Gibbs hasn't had all year and hasn't had since last year's quarterback. So is Gibbs going to roll out some more snaps for Warren Axton, quarterback, in this huge game they have this week against Northview Academy? We'll see. All right, those are 5 players to mention right here on the walkthrough presented by Coker Rentals. RentCoker.com. Your construction equipment, just anything you need for construction right there, RentCoker.com. One of our players to watch that's maybe not on that list, Oak Ridge sophomore quarterback Blaine Stansberry, the 5-star preps, varsity all access, Smith-Built Homes, player of the week, 246 yards passing, 5 passing touchdowns, 0 interceptions in that Week 11 win. Here's our conversation with Blaine Stansberry. All right, now joined by Blaine Stansberry, a quarterback at Oak Ridge High School. Blaine, congratulations, man. Player of the week. Just how does this feel? How big of an honor is this for you?
I mean, I've seen a bunch of my teammates get it, like Jarvis and Deshaun, so I've always sort of seen it and wanted to go after that, and it feels good to finally accomplish that.
Yeah, well, congratulations again. Huge performance last week, and what I liked about it, you have 5 touchdowns. That's awesome. 0 interceptions. To play a clean game like that, how much does this kind of boost your confidence kind of going forward into the postseason?
It's definitely been something I've been looking forward to do, and I think that's what I tried to do this game, knowing that I'll have a big time going into the playoffs. So I knew I needed to be clean and get prepared for these big games.
Yeah. Taking over as quarterback this year, when you look back at yourself in week 1, how much have you learned over the course of this season? How much have you grown comfortable?
I think a lot of it's been helped with Coach Rank. He's told me like week one, I really needed to work on getting all my power into my deep ball and stuff like that, and just progressioning through my reads. And he's helped me mature a lot.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I know you've been coming up through the ranks as a quarterback, and we've kind of had our eye on you throughout the last few years. And when you took over as QB1 at Oak Ridge, and you see Almani Rembert out there, and you see Brandon Hayward out there, how much did that make you feel comfortable knowing you got two legit guys out there on the perimeter?
It makes my job a lot easier, not knowing that I just have like one guy that they can focus on. I can hit whatever side of the field.
Mm-hmm. How long have you played quarterback? Anytime we have a quarterback who wins Player of the Week, we always ask that because some people stumble into the position. Some people have played it their whole life.
I sort of stumbled into it. It was Will Presley's dad was coaching, and he needed a quarterback in 5th grade, so that's when I went into it.
Okay. What did you like about it, and why have you stayed with it?
Well, the first year was obviously really rough, but then I liked really the mental side of it and learning, and I think there's a big progression, and I think that's satisfying.
Yeah. There's also times where I watch you play, and you kind of have a gunslinger kind of freewheeling ability out there that just you can't teach that. That's just kind of natural. How did that come about? How do you describe your style of play?
I think sometimes if I like see a shot, I know I have to take it and I can't hesitate, but I think that's also created a lot of instances for me to learn because maybe I get too antsy and then like deflection or interception will happen. So it's just a lot of shots and a lot of things to learn from.
Yeah. You mentioned Will Presley there a minute ago, and I know he's starting to kind of come into his own. He was a big part of last week as well. And what kind of chemistry do you two guys have?
We've been playing since middle school and little league, and we're best friends. So it's good to finally like build that connection on the field too.
Yeah. All right. Let's look ahead into this week. I believe you guys take on East Hamilton. From a quarterback standpoint, you looking out at their defense, what you guys have learned on film and in practice this week. What are you guys preparing for in East Hamilton?
I think just as we do with every team, I think we will be able to be balanced with having Javis as such a strong runner. And so just for me, I think I need to also continue with that clean mentality and just continue those type of games.
All right. Well, Blaine, thanks so much again for joining us and making the time. Congratulations on being Player of the Week, and best of luck in round 1, all right?
Thank you.
The 5-Star Preps Player of the Week is proudly presented by Smith Built Homes, East Tennessee's most trusted home builders since the 1950s. Smith Built dedicates themselves to producing a home that owners, their families, and neighbors can be proud of for generations to come.
Again, thank you, rentcoker.com, for all your support. Coker Rentals up there. Family owned, family run. Love those guys for all that they're doing for us here supporting high school athletics. While I have my stat leaders up, let's go ahead and give these guys a shout out. This is for all the regular season through week 11, our rushing champion. And we're going to continue stats on the website through the playoffs. But for the regular season alone, Tegan Avera, running back from Gatlinburg-Pittman, leads the area with 1,571 yards. Boone Rockwell, running back from Gibbs, 26 touchdowns, leads the rushing touchdown category. Isaiah Hall, Anderson County, passing champion, 2,760 yards. Jack Wagner and Brady Hammonds will share the championship for passing touchdowns with 28. Our receiving leader, Nehemiah Cooney, wide receiver up at Oakdale, 1,294 yards. And he also has 15 touchdowns to lead the area in receiving. Mazingo out at CAK is our tackles champion for the regular season, 141. Our tackles for loss is Alfini from Wartburg with 28. Our sacks champion, Stewart from Hardin Valley Academy, Emmett Newman from Jefferson County with 10 apiece. Interceptions, Bryson Hedrick with 11 in the regular season for Sevier County. Touchbacks, Conan Littlefield from Kingston with 43 kicking off this year. Our punting champions, 45.5 yards per punt. You got Holbrook out at Hardin Valley Academy. You got Shropshire out at Cosby. Congratulations to them. And then finally, kicking points for the regular season is Angola. Benji Angola up at Gibbs High School. 68 total kicking points in the regular season. That means they're scoring a lot of touchdowns up there, up at Gibbs this year. They've had some big barn burner type games. All right. Now is our favorite time of the show. We now go to Instagram for the Waffle House Who's Gonna Eat segment. I put it up a little late this week, so apologies to everybody on that. We had to go to Nashville earlier this week and work for an entire day, and just weren't able to get our work week going like we needed to. And so now we're kind of playing catch up here on the back end as I call up our Instagram page. Used to doing it on my phone, but when I do this show, I have to do it on my laptop as my phone is recording the show. All right, so Waffle House Who's Gonna Eat segment. We already know who the first guy is going to be. Bennett Campbell, the one and only Bennett Campbell, Anderson County. He's there. Will Spill, always there. Shout out Blake Carter for nominating Will Spill. Bryson Val always gives a shout out to his boy Bennett Campbell. Will Spill, as always, says Hal Neendorf from Webb. We know. Preston Gold and the Dogs. That comes from the real Davis Taylor on Instagram. We'll see. Bearden's got a big game against Dobbins Bennett on Friday night. Cameron Bates, running back from Halls. We heard us talk about Halls earlier in the show. We'll definitely see what they can do. We got a vote from Britton Carver for his teammate Thad Sterling. Kind of tight end, kind of wide receiver hybrid there at West High School, and definitely a guy to keep an eye out for, not just in round one, but for the playoffs alone. Let's call up some more replies. Will Spill. Yeah, we know Bennett Campbell. Quentin Brandon, kicker from Greenville High School, quietly having a huge season. So those are just a few. Thanks to everybody for nominating on our Instagram. Go check out all of them on our Instagram /5star preps. You'll see the Waffle House logo. You'll see all the nominations from all the people who follow us on social media. And so now you heard our players to watch. You've seen Instagram's players to watch from our fan base. Now it's time for the marquee matchups of round one of the playoffs and our predictions, starting with Halls at Morristown West. You talked to Brent Hughes, the head football coach at Halls, about how difficult this game will be. I still like Halls to win this game on the road. Cameron Bates running the football, Amari Lethgo throwing the football. You got Drew Ross out there catching the football. You got an unbelievable defense, unbelievable play and chemistry on the offensive and defensive front. All that comes into play. It's not going to be easy, but Halls gets the win in that game against Morristown West. All right, Maryville at Science Hill. Maryville has not lost a first-round game since the early 90s, almost 30 years. Will it happen at Science Hill? Absolutely not. That game last week was a fluke against Farragut. I'm not taking anything away from Farragut, but what I'm trying to say is nothing we saw out of Maryville in Week 11 will apply to them in round one of the playoffs. It just will not. Maryville does not lose in the first round. I don't care who the players are this year. That program has come leaps and bounds over the last 2 decades to fall in the first round to this Science Hill team, which is good. Don't get me wrong. Science Hill is good this year, but Maryville will find a way to win. It's in their DNA. It's how they're programmed mentally. They will find a way to win in the playoffs. Now, will they get to the semifinals for the 24th consecutive year? I can't say that, but for tonight, for round one, Maryville gets that win. Northview Academy at Gibbs. I have flip-flopped on this game all week long. Both teams love to run the football. Both teams play a tough brand of football, period. Mason Phillips at quarterback for Northview Academy may be one of the more slept-on talents in East Tennessee. Shout out to my photographer, Danny Parker. He put me on to Mason Phillips, said, hey, you need to take a look at this guy. He's a legit dude. They got a 1,000-yard rusher in Nick Schroth. They got another capable running back in Javier Wharton. You got Richard Bell on the defensive line. You got Evan Potticher on the defensive line. This is going to be one of the best 2 or 3 games of the night in East Tennessee. Go ahead and mark it down. I like Northview Academy to eke out a win over Gibbs. Yeah, okay, I'm going to stick with it. I almost flopped there at the last second. Northview gets the win. Central at Sevier County, big running back Frank Johnson IV. What he's done in his career is unbelievable. Just multiple 1,000-yard years, especially last year, having to play quarterback and still racking up 1,700 yards. But Sevier County, 9-1 on the year, really good on defense. Their quarterback, Cooper Newman, just a freshman, has played well above his years. Malachi Pate, a great athlete around him, and a number of other guys that complement Cooper Newman's game. Sevier County gets the win. They advance to round 2. And then finally, Clinton at McMinn County. Clinton has not won a playoff game since 2009. Do they do it tonight? You got Joshua Keith, senior. You got Jawan Goins, senior. He's so many talented guys. Damon Marable, senior, going to Purdue. Will they get the win on the road? No, I think not. It's going to be a good one. That offense of Clinton, all those guys I just mentioned against the kind of stubborn, tough defense of McMinn County, playing down there on that natural grass in a different environment. I'm going McMinn County in a very, very close game, getting the win over Clinton. All right, that's for our predictions. Let's take a peek into round 2. Games that could possibly happen that kind of have our eye. Let's start in 6A. Could Bearden and Jefferson County lock horns in round 2? What a matchup that would be. We could also get another Maryville-Bradley Central matchup. Bradley Central 10-0, Boo Carter, all that. Regular season champions. I know Maryville wants to get a little payback. In 5A, Oak Ridge wants nothing more than the rematch against McMinn County, the team that beat them 14-3, kept their offense quiet. Derek Rain, the head coach, got ejected because of all these bogus warnings. Oak Ridge wants revenge. They beat East Hamilton tonight. They get McMinn County in the second round. They win that game against McMinn County. And then who knows? Who knows? Do they possibly go on to a semifinal matchup against a Powell or a West? They would have to beat a Ray County, a Lenoir City, Campbell County, or Walker Valley in the third round. But I think Oak Ridge would be favored to win that. So also second round that we'd be looking at, Powell versus Sevier County. That's a cool matchup. We don't get to see those two teams square off very often. And then West Hall's rematch. That was a pretty good game from a couple of weeks ago. Into 4A, Anderson County, Elizabethan, anybody? That matchup's been pretty fun over the last few years. That would be a second round game at Anderson County next week. So just a nice little sneak peek of what round 2 could look like. Thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. Thank you, Brent Hughes, for your appearance on the show tonight. Congratulations to our player of the week, Blaine Stansberry, quarterback from Oak Ridge. And to all you for tuning in, and to Coker Rentals up there in North Knoxville. Make sure you check them out, rentcoker.com. That does it for the show tonight. Check us out in round 2, and we'll get you prepared for another night of high school football playoffs right here on the Walkthrough.
Welcome to the 5-Star Preps Walkthrough. Powered by Coker Rental Company. The Walkthrough delivers important pregame news, breakdowns of the week's biggest matchups, and more from the teams and players you spend your fall Friday nights cheering for.
Are you ready for some football?
We're ready for some football, baby.
Now, join us as our host, Jesse Smithey, and the rest of the 5-Star Preps team deliver the most comprehensive high school football coverage in East Tennessee. It's time for the 5-Star Preps Walkthrough.
Endless hold times and that user-friendly website can just add to your frustrations when you need business to run on time. Your contact, who is just a phone call away, doesn't turn out to be so available after all. Best Logistics Group puts you first. When our team promises we can handle that, you can count on us to be there when you need us, not just when it's convenient. To put an end to your supply chain headaches, just remember there's Best Logistics Group.
Technology has certainly made everyone better, but it's the people that separate the good from the best.
When you shop at Elliott's, your journey is our purpose.
North Knox Siding and Windows is a complete exterior home improvement company that can help you with all your exterior needs. Visit us today at 5618 North Broadway.